But then, when you come to think about it, James Bond must now be in his mid-60s and very possibly in possession of a bus pass. After all, he first appeared on screen, personified by Sean Connery, of course, in Dr. No in 1962. And he can't have been much less than 40 then. And yet, stirred but never shaken, he plugs doggedly on year after year. His face, the gimmicks and the special effects vary movie by movie, but the plot remains the same. The world is threatened and 007 saves it. Perhaps it's this very familiarity that explains the continuing success of a series that might accurately be called Carry On James. In any event, carrying on is what it's doing. The latest umpteenth episode, called Licence Revoked, is being filmed in the Florida Keys, and it was there that Tom Brooke went to reflect upon the phenomenon of the oldest spy in the world.
Key West, Florida, one of the many locations for this new Bond film, bringing Timothy Dalton back again as Agent 007. He says Licensed Revoked is rather different from his first outing as Bond in The Living Daylights.
It's got a much more direct adventure line through it. It's less complex, I think. I used to call the other one a mystery thriller or a romantic mystery thriller. This I think you'd have to call an adventure thriller.
Licensed Revoked will be the 16th Bond film, the latest installment in a series which began more than a quarter of a century ago.
Goldfinger.
Over the years, different Bond films and different actors portraying Bond have touched the lives of millions.
Meeting you with a view to a kill.
Taken together, these films, including the latest Bond picture with Timothy Dalton, have created a movie phenomenon of staggering dimensions. It's been estimated that half the world's population, that's 2 billion people, have now seen a James Bond film.
We went to China recently on a reconnaissance, and our films haven't been released in China, and yet they're all very well aware of the James Bond films. So they see them somehow. I don't know how they see them, but gives you an idea of how widespread they are.
A major part of the film's appeal is Bond himself. But to win audiences, Agent 007 has to be portrayed appropriately. Timothy Dalton has tried to move Bond away from the world of comedy-like technological extravaganzas back to the more complicated character envisaged by Ian Fleming, who wrote the original novel.
I've got to find a way to make an audience identify with me and believe in what's happening. Because if you don't believe in a fantasy, you don't get involved in it and you don't enjoy it.
A crucial element in every Bond fantasy is the villain. In Licence Revoked, that honour falls to actor Robert Davi, who portrays a dangerous-looking Latin American drug lord. Davi says the villain, as a representation of evil in Bond films, has been an important element in their overall success.
There is a mythical battle between the light and dark, good and evil, in the Bond films that I think touched the subconscious of generations of the people that watch them. So besides being immensely entertaining, it also has there's a message in the ravioli.
But most people don't go to Bond films for messages. They go to be entertained, and in many cases for titillation. That often comes from the other key to Bond's enduring success, the Bond girls.
I think the great problem has been often our own publicity. The way our publicity and the media represent the films. You see lots of ladies in bathing costumes surrounding James Bond. The truth is you hardly ever see these ladies in the movies. But the ladies you see in the movies are good leading actresses.
The Bond films won't work unless all the ingredients are brought together in just the right way. A large part of the responsibility for the overall look of the films falls to director John Glenn.
It's comic strip, really, isn't it? I mean, it's a series of very fast-moving action shots coupled with very good dramatic playing scenes. So we, in fact, do make a comic strip, if you like, of all the action sequences.
The Bond team has hit on a winning formula, which hasn't changed that much over the years. Nor is it likely to, because James Bond films are highly profitable. In fact, they're the most lucrative series in film history, a fantasy that audiences the world over enjoys, and one in which those who make the films appear quite dedicated. If all goes according to plan, then Licence Revoked will be released next summer. There's every indication it'll continue the tradition and become just as popular as all the other Bond films.
And never mind the message in the ravioli.